Welcome back to the Midwest Midday Coffee, but I want to make sure I get that right. With yours truly, Midwest Box Trucker. As I stated in my last live, it's just been a really busy week for me. I finished up like an early morning Amazon load. I think I picked up about 5 a.m. or so. I ran that, had to come straight home and take care of some other things pertaining to business, make a few phone calls, and yeah, we here now. So a few things I want to touch on. First and foremost, a hot topic, peak season, more specifically the rates. And as you guys come in, if you will, let me know where you tapping in from, where you located currently, and so forth. And yeah, the rates pertaining to Amazon Relay have been more of the hit or miss. I'm seeing more rates in the range of $1.50 and up. Now, if you wait, or as I've advised individuals with performance scores above 96%, you can negotiate with the AI feature. And with those negotiations, secure rates possibly in the $4 range from my negotiations with the AI feature. And that's all I've really been utilizing for the longer loads. Now, on the shorter trips, I just kind of book them for what they come up at. Usually they right around $200. And I'm seeing those almost all day long, starting usually early in the morning, around 5 a.m. and then throughout the day until probably 7 p.m., the short $200 runs. But the longer runs, I usually use the AI feature to negotiate with. And in using that feature, from what I've been seeing, they've been wanting to pay out around $4 per mile. And that's with some negotiation. I can kind of tell that they've been tweaking that feature because they're kind of being a little more stingy with the rate per mile, if you will, and just asking more questions, taking more time in order to increase the rates when you're negotiating with that AI feature. And I'm sure it's a bunch of different individuals negotiating. So I'm understanding why they would want to slow that process down, in order to give other individuals time to kind of negotiate as well and then kind of select the cheapest bidder. I could kind of sense some of that going on here now. So, like I said, the rates have been between $1.50 and maybe $3.50 per mile. Usually early in the day, as we know, they start out lower and then they begin to increase later on into the day, into early night, say 8, 9 p.m. So the longer you wait, usually the better you come out. But that's pretty much what's going on with the rates. Like I said, it's hit or miss, and it's a waiting game. You're having to put in more time in order to secure these different loads with higher rates per mile. So for me, the short routes for a lot of individuals would be where I would want to focus my attention. Of course, they have a higher rate per mile, but just overall, they're more profitable pertaining to fuel and things of that nature. So right now and into the first quarter of 2025, I believe just the performance score in general is going to be imperative in order to just utilize Amazon Relay in general. And I talk to new owner operators weekly, and I see a lot of different individuals that they've started new authorities and they're unable to run Amazon Relay at the moment. So they're just kind of getting by how they can with different gig apps and so forth. I actually talked to a guy last week at a 3PL, and he was just kind of telling me some of the struggles that he'd been facing being a new authority less than 6 months. And then even at 6 months, is really no guarantee. It's just kind of up to you on what you're willing to do to attract the attention of certain brokers, because you have to realize right now, especially with box trucks, different brokers, 3PLs, and so forth have a abundance of options pertaining to carriers. And as we've seen, it's just so many different rules that have been implemented in order to kind of weed out the bad seeds, if you will. I don't know what you want to call them, but we've just seen over the course of the last year and a half a bunch of different restrictions placed upon carriers in order to take freight for different brokers and so forth. Not just brokers, but individuals providing freight in general. Okay, we've seen a lot of restrictions placed on carriers. So that's just something to think about for individuals that are starting trucking companies, that first 6 months to a year is definitely going to be a struggle. With Amazon Relay off of the table, a backlog of carriers waiting to be onboarded into a lot of these gig apps, that's something that I think a lot of new carriers don't realize as well. It's a waiting list of individuals that are looking to onboard with a bunch of these different gig apps. So you don't want to kind of 100% depend on those either, which a lot of new carriers do because they don't have many other options. But it's area specific. So something that you may think may be an option may not. So that's something to think about when you're starting out as a new trucking company. So that's kind of what I want to talk about pertaining to Amazon, the rates, and so forth. Something else I wanted to touch on that I've been noticing the last day or so is these Amazon employee strikes. And I know everybody has seen it. It's all over the news, YouTube, and so forth. But the Amazon workers, some of the Amazon workers have aligned with the Teamsters Union. And it's a small percentage, but it is a percentage. I believe they said it's like 25 locations that are recognized by the Teamsters Union. And I believe it pertains to about 1,000 employees. Don't quote me on that. But from some of what I've been watching, I think that's kind of the numbers. And what they're saying is that they want to picket at a total of 10 different facilities. They're currently picketing at 7. And that's across the US. I believe California, Georgia. I know I've been seeing a lot going on in Rochester, New York. That's another location that I've been seeing these Amazon work strikes. And from what they're saying, the Teamsters Union and the Amazon Relay employees are picketing because the Amazon Relay employees feel like, one, they're not being paid enough. So that's the first issue. They also are asking for better benefits, I believe. So that's another issue. And there's also back and forth about a unsafe work or an unsafe work environment. So these are the things that's coming up amongst some other things. And I'm also getting that I guess some of the employees don't agree with the production standards, which I've worked in a warehouse environment. I'm totally familiar with all of those issues that go on pertaining to what the company expects the employee to produce, and the employee who is there at the machine or whatever, they have a better understanding of what they actually can do safely with the breaks allotted and so forth. So this is a lot of what I'm getting that's being picketed. And on Amazon side, it seems like what they're saying is it's been a back and forth dispute for 2 years. And the Teamsters Union has committed different illegal acts. This is what Amazon's viewpoint is, which they're saying they're not saying it publicly, but it's in writing. They haven't actually talked to anybody, but they put it in writing that I guess there have been some illegal activities pertaining to how the Teamsters have gone about attempting to recruit Amazon Relay employees. I don't know if they're saying independent contractors because they said third party. So I just have to say third party because I don't want to report anything the wrong way. But yeah, they're saying that the Teamsters Union has been illegally approaching different Amazon Relay affiliates. Let's say that. And with them approaching them, they've just done different things that are unethical. So Amazon is saying we're not negotiating with them at all. And they're saying that the majority of the individuals that are picketing are not even affiliated with Amazon. So it's just a bunch of back and forth between both parties and the employees. And from what I'm getting, I guess the Teamsters Union is now recruiting, more individuals. And as I stated, I believe they're currently at 7 locations looking to move into 10. And they're saying they're blocking vans, trucks, just, in their words, grinching up Amazon's holiday process, which I don't 100% agree with, due to the fact that most of the holiday shopping has already been completed. I mean, we're so close to the holiday right now that a bunch of what has needed to been moved has been moved. Not to say that there isn't a lot more to be moved, because we normally see what we call peak season run well into January in most instances. But the bulk of the freight that needed to be moved has been moved. I've seen the Amazon vans up and down the block all day long from where I live on to other different areas. So a bunch of stuff has already been moved. I would say 80% of the freight is gone already. So from what Amazon is saying, they don't expect it to have a huge impact on their holiday shipments. But yeah, from exactly what I'm getting from a guy who I was watching that was talking to one of the news outlets, he was just saying that they're attempting to affect Amazon's earnings on a nationwide level. That's the goal. And they said they planned it at this point of the year for a reason, which honestly me personally, I would have planned it a couple weeks ago at least. So it's just kind of after the fact, if you ask me. But I mean, either way, it's happening. And yeah, they're saying they're on day 2 of the strikes. Now, Amazon is refusing to negotiate. And I don't personally expect Amazon to negotiate. I just don't see them doing it. The way I view Amazon, who they are as a company, I believe that they're going to stand on what they said. But that's yet to be seen. So it's just going to kind of play out how it plays out. But I think it's going to have a minimal effect on the carriers as a whole. And the workers in my market aren't even striking. So it's supposedly only affecting 1,000 or so employees, like I said, 10 locations across the US. It is nationwide, but a bunch of the main markets are not even being affected. I know Georgia is one that they're saying is being affected by the picketing, but I don't know exactly how that's working out or how that's affecting the independent contractors there. But here, like I said, in my market, I'm not seeing anybody picketing, anybody on strike. It's still business as usual. So we're looking at something that's happening on a small scale, and in my opinion, after the fact. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at it. And yeah, I wouldn't personally get too worried about the Amazon worker strike situation, at least not for now. Now, I'm not 100% sure what will happen later on down the line, but yeah, right now, I'm not saying it be a huge issue. If you just came in, do me a favor and hit the like button on your way in. Yeah, but that's just my thoughts on that worker strike. I don't see it being a big issue and having a huge effect on independent contractors. Something else that I wanted to talk about really quickly, because it came up, and when I run into different issues or experiences, I like to bring them to the space for you guys to kind of take note of. That way, you just are kind of aware and informed. So I know I've advised individuals to look for brokers pertaining to their commercial insurance and let the broker shop the company around in order for you to find the cheapest insurance rates, and not just go to Progressive or one of the other popular commercial insurance companies. So I've advised individuals on multiple different occasions to do this. And that's why I wanted to touch on this, while I'm here, because you can broker out your insurance, and something I haven't ever heard this talked about. And I'm kind of just picking up on it myself. But you have A-rated insurance carriers or commercial insurance carriers. And then you have commercial insurance carriers that have a less than A rating. And these are the insurance providers. Let me kind of be more specific, such as Progressive, Berkshire, and so forth. Those are A-rated insurance providers. But you also have less than A-rated insurance providers, normally that are going to offer you a cheaper commercial insurance rate, possibly due to the rating and so forth. But this is something to keep in mind when you're shopping for commercial insurance, because something that you can run into is you onboarding with a particular broker and you give them your certificate of insurance. And when they notice who you are insured through, they won't work with you. So who you choose to get commercial insurance through can cause you to or not to be able to obtain different work with different brokers, 3PLs, and so forth. So that's just something to think about when you're attempting to secure commercial insurance, because we all go out and we look for the cheapest rate possible. And it just makes sense because it keeps your overhead low. And if you're already in and you're with Progressive and you usually shop your company around, you're able to lower your overhead. So that's something to think about when you're shopping your company for commercial insurance. Ask the broker or whatever insurance company that you work through, what's their carrier or insurance provider rating. And if it's less than an A, some have a triple A rating, but at least AA, all brokers will work with those insurance providers. Now, if you go with one of the lesser insurance providers, B or down, because they rate them from A on down. If you go with one of the lesser insurance agencies, as I stated, that'll probably provide you with a cheaper insurance rate. So you're going to pay less overall, less monthly. But there's going to be brokers that won't work with you due to you having this style of insurance. And how they rate or why they rate insurance providers is some insurance providers have a tendency not to pay for claims, deny claims, avoid claims, duck, dodge, and so forth. Progressive is likely to pay out quickly. Similar to if you ever had, I had a lady hit me years and years ago. She admitted all fault. She had State Farm. My car was in the shop within a couple days. They provided me a rental immediately. The car was, the damages were pretty much appraised and I kept the car. So they paid me out so this is State Farm is an A-rated insurance provider. So this is going to be the difference. You have an accident, you damage some property, it needs to be paid for. You put in a claim, or the party who received the damages puts in a claim, and then your insurance doesn't want to cover it. So likely if your insurance won't cover it, then what's going to happen? It's going to fall on you. And you're going to have to figure out a way to cover whatever damages that occurred. So that's just something to think about when we're trying to find and secure the cheapest commercial insurance. Ask what rating they have. Understand if that insurance provider will work for you. Do you want to be able to work with all brokers? Me personally, yes. So me paying a couple hundred more per month, in my opinion, it makes a lot more sense than restricting yourself with who you can or can't work with due to the insurance provider that you chose. Similar to what I advise individuals pertaining to the years of the trucks that they purchase. You can purchase a truck that's a 2004, a 2006, a 2008, but you will be restricted from working with particular brokers, a lot of particular brokers, not one, two, or three, but a lot of brokers. You'll be restricted from working with due to the year of your truck. And they want insurance, your COI. They're asking that you open the door, take a picture of the plate on your door jamb with the VIN of your truck. They're looking up the VIN. Another thing that's affecting insurance and the rates they look at, because I just had to renew my insurance, and that's why I'm touching on this, because it just came up and it's in real time, and I don't want it to kind of slip my mind and I not bring it to the space later. But yeah, it's just an issue I ran into where I could save money on a policy, but at the same time, they were offering me a insurance provider with a less than A rating. So I had a decision to make. And the decision that I made was to go with the A-rated provider. So I paid the extra money. And the insurance that they offered me, it was less than $600 a month, which if anybody knows, that's crazy low. And that's what I was going to touch on. When you go to get an insurance quote, they ask for your DOT. They look at your FMCSA history. And they told me on the phone, well, we see you got a clean inspection. You know, it's nothing on your driving. So they're immediately looking at this. So this is something that is not touched on so much as well, but is a major factor. And that's what's going on with your company and the FMCSA. And as I stated, Amazon has started to monitor this as well. The carrier's FMCSA score within your performance feature on that Amazon app. They're monitoring, and monthly, or at least every couple months, they're checking to see if you pass all of their requirements in order to keep running their freight. So everybody's paying attention to the safety side, what's happening with your inspections, and so forth. And all of this can turn out to be a reason why overall you just end up losing money. If you just rolled in and you just catching the stream, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you enter after the fact, hit the like button on your way in. I'm gonna look at some of these comments. Are you your business being? No. Now, my business is not being affected by the worker strikes. As I stated, the workers in my area, I don't even believe are unionized. So these are workers that have joined the Teamster Union that are actually striking. So at this time, no, my business hasn't been affected in any way. I'm actually possibly completing my best week ever with Amazon Relay, possibly. So no, my business has not been affected whatsoever, but it's happening to others. And I don't know what's going on in Georgia or other areas where Amazon Relay is extremely popular, but I know that they're interfering with the movement of the freight. And from what I'm getting, the police have also began to be involved and possibly arresting individuals. I've looked into a few different videos, but I'm sure it's some things that I have not picked up on. But I believe some people may possibly be getting arrested due to things that are going on pertaining to the strikes and so forth. But like I said, it's happening, and it could have an effect possibly, you know, on those markets, but we won't see any effect here from what I'm seeing. And as I stated, even in those areas, it's kind of after the fact. I mean, the freight is gone already. Santa Claus then came. So it's like, and that's what they were kind of saying too, that the employees were essentially Grinching Amazon's Christmas. And I mean, you see that, we even see, back and forth within this space with, just if the season is even going to occur. Like, that's been a big debate. So, stuff's gonna come up and, things happen. It's always gonna be something tugging at your energy and your attention and your focus. But in my opinion, you still got to get out and hustle, regardless of what's occurring, what's going on. I mean, you still got to hustle. The bills still got to get paid. Business still has to take place. So, these events, they're going to come up. And especially at times like this, it's to be expected. Nothing goes as planned. I always say that. And we're constantly seeing it over and over and over. Right now with the stock market, it's just all over the place. You're losing money and then you make a bunch of money just to lose it and go back to what you already had. Like, it's just crazy. And everybody is an expert. They swear they know what's going to happen. But the experts are frequently wrong. And then you take the brunt of them not knowing what they're talking about. So that's why I just try to bring the facts. I'm not an expert on anything. I just, speak what I know, talk from experience and so forth. But nothing right now goes as planned. And yeah, you just see it with the stock market. It's just all over the place. I think one day I made a bunch of money and then not even 2 days later, lost it. So is it even smarter to just be one of the day traders? Like, they advise you not to, just constantly, be patient. Smart investors advise you to be patient. Put it in, don't look at it. But every once in a while you look at it and, things might not be going as planned. So I just look at that across the board, that in my opinion, as I stated, nothing goes as planned. You just got to get up and do the work. Like, block out all of the nonsense, especially if it does not pertain to you. That would be my best advice that I could give you. Block out all of the extra stuff, because you're going to always have stuff that comes up. Probably when you on a high, you got, right now, a lot of people been making, some money. And for a long time, people weren't. So a lot of people right now are, at least experiencing some type of win. And you just kind of, look at something's gonna go wrong. It has to. Something got to go wrong. And you still got to hustle. You still got to hustle. Let the stuff go wrong. Block it out. Get up every day. Do what you got to do to make sure that you get where you need to be. That would be my best piece of advice to you. I block stuff out. Because I stated this in the past. Energy is priceless. It's way more valuable than money. Way more valuable than money. So you got to protect it. So all of this Amazon back and forth got nothing to do with you unless, as they're stating, it's affecting your business. Now, long term, if it keeps going on, then it's something more to talk about. But as we saw with even like the port strikes, this stuff comes, it goes. It's all back and forth propaganda for money. It's about money. That's why you got to hustle, because it's about money. So you got to get the money. That's what they're arguing about. That's why they're going back and forth about money. Safety, yeah. Better benefits, yeah. But the employees want the money. So you got to get the money. Because they're going to get theirs one way or another. It'll all work itself out in the end. Like I said, if it's not affecting you or your business, then I would just focus on what I got to do on a day-to-day basis, because we don't have a whole lot of time. Like I say, we under the 2-minute warning at this point. So you just got to focus. Get out, run your truck, make it happen. That would be my best piece of advice to you. Grace Logistics, what's happening? What you got going on today? So you want at least A-rated insurance company to work with a broker. You'll be able to work with some brokers with a less than A-rated insurance company, but it's up in the air. Some brokers will not work with a less than A-rated insurance provider. But most of the ones that you hear about on a day-to-day basis are A-rated insurance companies. They don't really dodge claims. If the driver's at fault, they pay it out, and they just raise the driver's premium accordingly. But you do have companies that duck and dodge claims, similar to auto insurance. You go with one of these rinky-dink auto insurance companies and you get in an accident, somebody get hurt, some property get destroyed, they don't want to pay. So then they try to go back and forth and blame the other party and so forth when they know it was you. So this is what you kind of get with less than A-rated insurance providers. You may be able to work with a broker. You may not. With an A-rated insurance provider, you can work with all of the brokers. You don't got to worry about that. Like I said, that was a decision I just had to make, whether or not I wanted to go with either an A-rated insurance company or a less than A-rated, less than $600 a month. My commercial insurance, I'm paying, and we all know the commercial insurance constantly goes up. So I was paying like $837 total the last year. I'm at like $860 something now. But I could have got insurance for less than $600 a month. I thought on it for a couple days, and ultimately I turned it down. And I had them buying my policy with a A-rated insurance company, because I'm switching from the particular insurance company. This is going to be like my fourth insurance company, because they all go up. And see, I have an insurance company that I work with that's pretty much a broker. They operate similar to a broker. They shop me around. They bring me back 4 different premiums. They tell me the premiums. One is 10, one is 14. So my old insurance provider that I'm with right now until here shortly, they wanted 14. And the company that I just went with, they wanted a little over 10. But the company that was less than A-rated wanted like 7. So those are the differences, that you could kind of look at and compare in these prices, and, just make your decision accordingly. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button for me one time, anybody. And yeah, this is just something that I wanted to, just bring to you guys, just to kind of make you guys aware, because like I said, everybody's always searching for the cheapest premium, and that can restrict you work-wise. So that's just something that you have to keep in mind. These insurance renewals, if you will. And also just always be looking for the cheapest rate. And as long as they do your federal filing, you have to make sure you get a federal filing. And they're an A-rated insurance provider, then I don't see an issue. You just have to make sure that all of your coverages are there. 1 million general, 100,000 cargo, and if you're working with Amazon, it's a $2 million aggregate. So that's what you definitely need to have in place in order to run with most brokers. So that's just something to think about. And some people set their limit at 750,000, but like I said, most brokers are going to require that you have 1 million in general liability. 100,000 in cargo is usually standard across the board, but that general liability, and then with a Sprinter van, is, I believe, 300,000. I know that's what it was when I was in a Sprinter van. So yeah, overall, you just have to go with the best option for your trucking company. And yeah, just utilize what I've told you, because I've never heard it touched on. And yeah, certain companies, insurance providers, especially like the one I'm on board with, they said they don't even, sign drivers up or offer insurance providers with and less than A rating, because they've had carriers come back and be unable to secure freight with different companies due to this reason. So it does come up, and often. Maybe not right away, but eventually it will. So that's just something to think about. Grace Logistics said he lost loads due to his insurance company. And see, Grace Logistics, he thought he was slick. He got that cheap insurance. He paid about $400 a month. Yeah, about $4,000 a year. Grace Logistics got that cheap insurance. So yeah, he said that he has ran into, issues. So it's just letting you know what I'm telling you. It's straightforward. Be careful. And yeah, normally I would tell you to go with the cheapest premium, but now we see that's not so, maybe, so safe, depending on, what you're trying to do. I believe Amazon will accept these companies, but even then, I'm not 100% sure, because I started out with Progressive, and to date, I've never had a less than A rated insurance company. So that's just something to think about. I ain't gonna dwell a whole bunch on it. I think I got the message across, and I think individuals will take that more into consideration when shopping for commercial insurance, because you just want to stay safe and open yourself up to as many opportunities as possible. You don't want to limit yourself, especially starting out. That's something I just talked about, where a new individual I was talking to a week ago, not even a week ago, and he's just starting out. And as I stated, he's just struggling, working off gig apps and just trying to get by, and just telling me, man, I had no idea it would be this rough. But I kind of, in the back of my head, think like, well, how much, research did you do? Because it's been difficult for a lot of individuals over the course of at least the last year. But you have just stubborn individuals that are going to do what they want. And then you have individuals that have had their eyes on being an owner operator, having a trucking company, more specifically a box truck company, and onboarding with Amazon Relay. It's still a bunch of individuals that are looking to do that. So you can't tell people not to follow their dreams, if you will. But at the same time, you want to make smart decisions, because ultimately it's you that's going to have to, one, foot the bill for everything, two, incur whatever losses that come with the decisions that you make. You can get help from YouTube, mentorships, coaching, and so forth. But none of these tools are guaranteed to save a failing trucking company. There is no guarantees. Nobody guarantees that they can save your trucking company. They can offer you resources into how to move your truck, keep your drivers busy, keep the wheels turning, but there are no guarantees. So it all is a gamble at the end of the day when you choose to get out here and start these trucking companies. And that's just the 100% truth, as straightforward as I can put it. I've kind of used the analogy of you jumping out into the ocean. I know y'all tired of me talking about the ocean. Why he keep talking? He always talking about it. He obsessed with the ocean. I'm gonna stop talking about the ocean. But I have compared it to jumping out in the ocean. There is no safety net. There is no lifeguard. If you cannot swim, what do you think will happen? So that's kind of what I've touched on way back when. I reiterate that now. To me, when you start a trucking company, you're essentially just jumping out into the abyss, and it's no guarantees with anything. I mean, you just have to put your best foot forward and get out and get it. And I think the individuals who understand that and maintain focus, as I stated, there's always going to be things that are going to come up that are going to pull at your energy, pull at your focus, pull at your discipline. So you have to be expecting this and prepared for the day-to-day challenges in order to be great. Like, it's not going to just fall in your lap. It never will. And anybody who ever accomplished great things, it may have looked easy from the outside looking in, but I assure you, it was not easy. Anybody who ever did anything great, oftentimes those individuals will make things appear to be easy. We get that a lot with box truck content. For some strange reason, individuals actually think that, like in my pre-recorded videos, when I slam that door and you hear the clink, that I magically just morph to the next stop. It's driving included. There are other things that take place. We cannot show you everything that occurs out here on a day-to-day basis. Just use your imagination. 9 times out of 10 is real. I'm just being one. It's so much that occurs out here on a day-to-day basis that will never hit YouTube. But what you see in this content is a small portion of what we, like I said, when I slam that door and the scene change and then I'm at the next stop, And it was a bunch that occurred that you did not see. Stressful situations, crazy drivers, and so forth. So it's not just, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are steps in between, things you have to go through, challenges and tests that you're going to face day in and day out, myself included. I go through it on a day-to-day basis. And that's why I always advise individuals to work on being more disciplined, because to me, discipline is probably the most important factor within business. So I see that a lot. It look easy, this, that, and the third. It's not easy. And it's all going to fall back on you and how you perform out here on a day-to-day basis. And that's just being 100% honest. Being you in the Midwest and the weather snowing, does it affect Ohio? I mean, sometimes I'm going to be honest with you, you could 30 to 50 miles, the weather can be polar opposites, even within the same state. I was kind of dealing with that on a route I was completing early this morning. And, I'm negotiating with AI in the app, and I'm telling them that it's inclement weather. And this is why I'm asking for a higher payout. And I'm looking at where I'm actually at, and it's not inclement weather. But 20 minutes out, once I actually got loaded, I could barely see. And I had snow like blowing across the road, and then you on those 2-lane back roads. A lot of these postal facilities are really small and small little areas where, it's not a bunch going on. So some of the routes, especially the routes that Amazon's GPS will take you, they get testy. So get your own truck GPS. I would advise you to keep it updated and utilize that if possible, because Amazon's routes are not always the most optimal routes. Sometimes they just take you out of the way, and for no good reason. It's a route that would take you 10 minutes less, and there are no low bridges or restricted truck routes, but for some reason it has you going. I've been down a road that I didn't even know was really a road. I was questioning it. I'm looking at the surface, and it was a road, but it was mainly dirt, and only one vehicle could get down it, and it was trees on both sides. So Amazon's GPS has taken me to some strange places. So if you could purchase and utilize your own GPS, I would just advise you to do that, because you can get in a bind. Definitely keep the app open. That way you're not running into location issues, which will then perfect or affect your performance. So keep the app open, but you don't have to use their navigation and the GPS feature. You could use your own. Corey Johnson, appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate everybody that's tapped in and watching the stream. If you have not hit the like button, hit the like button for me. If you come in after the fact and you reach this point, let me know you still here. Hit the like button one time. And we episode 4. So we rolling right through these, and it's keeping me more consistent. I do them in shorter form. I've done 3+ hour live streams. So it's easier for me to jump in. And now, an hour, that's like 30 minutes. I think my last one, they are a lot quicker. So once again, hit the like button if you have not already. And let me see. He said 150K from a made up business. Research is important. It will help. Exactly. Yeah. It don't hurt to do a little research, man. And like I say, I don't know. When I started a trucking company, I was excited to do the research to understand the ins and outs. And another thing, and I'm going to show that on one of my lives. I'm going to start back doing some of the later lives here shortly. But I'm going to show that, whereas I talked about even an Uber driver doing it. It's just common sense that when you're out here and you moving a truck, you're paying for fuel, you have other expenses, insurance, maintenance, and so forth, that you track your trips, your begin location, your end location, the miles, and at least what you spent for fuel. We talk a whole lot about cost per mile and so forth. And I know individuals kind of get tired of hearing about cost per mile, but just recording the day-to-day basic numbers can do you a whole lot of good. I don't understand why an individual would want to operate a vehicle, as I stated, incur maintenance, fuel, a truck note, if you have a truck note, and so forth, and not track their numbers, at least for the most part. And I'm not saying to halfway do anything, but you got to start somewhere. So I just see a lot of people who don't want to track the numbers, and I feel like that's hindering a whole lot of your progress. But yeah, when I started, I wanted to do the research and just understand the ins and outs. And immediately, my first trip, I was documenting where I started and where I ended. For the most part, if you run relay, they do it for you. But if you run OTR, if you run different contracts, gig apps, or so forth, like, I don't understand why you wouldn't keep some sort of solid record of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And then take a look at that at the end of the week. Even if you have some hiccups and you may not be able to just write down every single thing or get every single receipt, it's imperative that you do at least most of it. Like, I don't expect people to be perfect, but like I said, it's just not taking the time to do the numbers is hindering a lot of individuals overall. And I think that's what a lot of people are running into. If you tapped in right now, you came in late, you're going to watch the replay, hit the like button for me one time. As I state, I always go off of engagement. And I have been seeing it during and afterwards. But yeah, if you come in, do me a solid, hit the like button on your way in, on your way out, whatever it may be. Is it me or is work slow? It's slowing down. Work is slowing down. So no, it's not you. If you missed it, rates now are dropping. I am still seeing a lot of the daytime rates, or daytime lows, excuse me, where they have 11:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. You'll see different lows going to different locations, which I don't even care to name. But if you have access, if you watch the load board, individuals that are in my market, they know what loads I'm talking about. So it's still daily loads that come up throughout the day. You see early morning loads and abundance of loads from 9 p.m. to like 4 a.m. with pickup times ranging in those areas. So the volume is still there. The rates are dropping. Here shortly, we know even volume is going to begin to decrease. But from what I'm seeing right now, the volume is still there, but the rates are dropping. They're starting out really low and beginning to increase an hour or two of sitting there. And individuals that are used to the heightened rates are now waiting, because I'm seeing a lot of these lows sit there for longer periods of time because the money's there. And then you book these lows at 2 p.m. and it's clear, sun outside, everything. You pick that up at 2 a.m. and you're in inclement weather, sliding all over the road. You can't see a thing, and so forth. So that's something to consider when you're booking loads, and why I tell individuals to wait until later in the day. I got 16 people in here, 12 likes. I'm sure a lot of y'all just rolled in. If you just rolled in, do me a favor and hit the like button. But yeah, you just kind of right now, you just roll with the punches. And like I said, the volume's there, the rate's dropping. If you wait and you're patient, if you negotiate with AI, it's a possibility that you can get what I'm seeing AI want to give you right now is around $3.60 to $4 per mile with a little negotiation. And to me, that's fair. You know, I don't know what it's going to be after the new year once volume decreases and so forth. But what we've been seeing here in my market, and I'm kind of gauging what the going rate should be on where AI is stopping at and where their cutoff is. And it's right around, I would say, $4 a mile is where they wanted to kind of stop negotiating with me on some of the longer runs with more stops. Now, on the shorter runs, I haven't been doing a whole bunch of negotiating because we all know, especially in my market, them short runs don't last long. Some people want to drive, 20, 30 miles for $172, $180, $200. I did two of those yesterday. One was for $172, one for $171. Those short runs clean up and increase your profit. So if you do a long run for a less than stellar rate per mile, me personally, I clean those up with the shorter runs that burn no fuel. They take little to no time to complete most of the time, because you get to one of these facilities and they refuse to let you in and you may be there all day. But most occasions at the reasonable facilities, you could get in and out within a couple hours. So I did two trips. One was 14 miles. One was, they said it was 5 miles, but it was like 9 miles. But I did two of those within like 3 hours. But that's really lucky with really high value during the day and with a 100% performance score. And I've had that for the last week or two. And before that, I was maybe like a 90 something, 98. But I've had early access throughout most of peak season. And you have to have that. That's crucial in order for you to see any of what I'm speaking of. Because I've talked to individuals with no score or a low score, and they're not really seeing anything, or just really urgent lows are popping up for them. They're not seeing a lot of the lows that I speak of, and especially the daytime routes. If you have a low performance score, you're probably not going to see any of the daytime routes. And if you do, it's probably on a Friday or a Saturday when there aren't an abundance of trucks floating around and individuals are usually home doing other things. So performance is crucial, especially going into the first quarter of 2025. And yeah, you just got to stay focused out here. Keep hustling, keep grinding, and yeah, make it happen. It's going to get harder before it get easier, but stay disciplined, stay motivated, keep hustling. That's the best thing that I could tell you. And I'm going to keep pushing out these, morning coffee, midday coffee reports, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, I'm going to keep pushing these out. That's why I wanted to do one before we ended the week. I appreciate all you guys that have graced the stream, that are going to grace the stream and watch the replay. If you're here to this point, let me know. Hit the like button one time. And I'm going to look at a few comments. And yeah, we're going to end this here. I'll catch you guys in a few days on these episodes. Can someone get his account back when you are deactivated? It depends what for. Insurance, you may possibly be, well, you will once you meet the requirements. DOT, safety, stuff like that, you got to wait it out. It's 2 years until that'll fall off your performance pertaining to the FMCSA. And as I stated earlier, Amazon is monitoring your FMCSA safety score through the performance app. It's a safety tab. In that safety tab, month to month, they're checking your safety ratings, inspections, and so forth. So depending on what you were deactivated for, possibly. But it depends on what that is. Some things, if it's safety related, double brokering, things of that nature, possibly not. What's the lowest cost per mile can a carrier have per mile? Your cost per mile is based off fixed and variable expenses. So once you do those calculations, that'll tell you what that is. Individuals in vans, cargo vans, cost per mile are usually well below $1. Box trucks usually range from between maybe $1.20 to and upwards of $2.50 per mile. So it just kind of depends on what equipment you're running and what your fixed and variable expenses are. That'll determine what your cost per mile is. But everybody's is different because nobody's costs are the same. I wouldn't think so. And if it was, it's just like a freak accident. So yeah, everybody's cost is different. Now, some people may have the same cost per mile, but the fixed and variable expenses are going to be different. So that's how you come to a total of what your cost per mile will be. You make more money doing apartment moving jobs versus OTR. Yeah, I say so. Yeah, and OTR is probably the most expensive to run pertaining to the carrier's expenses because fuel first and foremost, maintenance, and then so forth. So yeah, it's a struggle OTR. I tip my hat to those guys. Something else I was having in a private conversation, the guys in rentals, I tip my hat to them as well. It's rough in the rentals. They're almost extinct, but you see them here and there. And, them the real troopers. If you running a rental in these times outside of peak season, I mean, you got to be doing something right because it's rough on that end. And yeah, you just got to kind of know how to move the truck properly. A low rate. And that's a lot of places. Yeah, you'll be lucky to get $4 a mile, and a lot of markets like I was saying, I looked into a few different markets recently, and some people may have a whole different experience pertaining to, well, I'm sure a lot of people have a whole different experience pertaining to what they saw peak season. I mean, it's hit or miss, it's area specific, it just depends on what fulfillment centers are in your area, what the saturation is for the trucks and so forth. But once again, with all of this, these trucking companies in general, as we've seen, nothing's guaranteed. And everything is always subject to change. Like I said, just stay focused and keep grinding. That's all I can tell you guys. And with that being said, I think I've touched on everything that I wanted to touch on today. I think I've engaged with most of the comments that I've seen. And yeah, we're gonna keep these rolling into the future. Like I said, I'm here. We're gonna keep, keeping you guys up to date on what's happening on a day-to-day basis with Amazon, gig apps, and so forth. So with that being said, as usual, you guys stay safe out there. Enjoy your weekends. If you're out of the truck, if you're in the truck, make it happen. This the end. We less than 2-minute warning right now. So it's not the time to be meat. Remember that. And with that being said, man, y'all stay safe out there. Take it easy. And as usual, y'all have a good one. Appreciate you.